Okay. So our next topic is object repository types. In QTP, you will come up with two types of object repositories. So those are nothing but uh, local object repository and shared object repository. Remember, so local object repository you'll consider it is in older versions, not in latest versions. So in latest versions, local repository they were changed to per action object repository. Why means in older versions of your QTP, what is the thing is by default, whatever the test script you record, it is not a usable action. But 9.5 version onwards, whatever the script you are recording, it's by default create reusable action, right? So that is the reason 9.5 version onwards local object repository they have changed it to per action object repository. So before going object repository types, what I do is like small topic I will explain you. So first they come up with like WinRunner, right? So initially while coming up with automation tools, what is the approach people were following, pre-learning concept. They come up with pre-learning means, what does it mean is before starting up with your automation, you will try to learn whole application and create, that means like create your object repository. Okay, so before starting up with your automation, what you do is you will learn all I mean like whole application and create an object repository. So how you will add is like add objects. Hmm, so click somewhere, select. See here, what I'm doing here is like I'm going like object repository manager, resources, object repository manager. So then yard objects. Yard objects. So which objects you have to add, just click there, you go upper and you select. Okay, now as soon as you select whole main window, it's giving you like different objects. Only selected object you want to add means select, this is the option. Default object type is like web edit, combo box, list box, like very high level objects it will get here. All object types means every object type it will get here. Okay. Whole. So selected object types means from here list box which objects you select, only those object types get added to your object repository. So at this point of time, what I do is like I go for all object types. Okay, see how many objects it was added, so many objects it was added, right? Like that, every page you have to go in your application, you have to add it to your object repository, and you will save it and you will be using. So this is the automation process. The starting days of your automation people were implementing. But here my question is, if you are validating like login functionality from login page, which objects really you will use? Username, password, sign in. Only those three objects you will be using. Okay, only those three objects you will be using. But here how many objects it was added? Like this if you consider your object repository size go big and big, right? So this is the drawback of like pre-learning. Then they come up with concept like auto learning. Excuse me. Okay, auto learning means while recording your QTP automatically identify and which are the objects you are performing operations and get add to your object repository. That is nothing but like auto learning. Okay, so that is nothing but like auto learning. But even these days people were going for again like uh, so with the help of object repository you'll be adding objects to your object repository, and what you do is like But here, instead of adding all the objects from that page, which objects you need, exactly those objects only you will add object by object. Okay, you have another option like if you go for this one, so you add only specific object, right? That is how you can add. So instead of adding all the objects, you'll add object by object. So you add so sign in, you have to click on that object. So this is how, which are the objects required, those objects will add and you'll go. So once you add objects like this, you can that shared object repository, how you'll get is like click at save button. Wherever you want you can save. Okay, wherever you want you can save. So I give just like okay. So this is how you can create your shared object repository. The idea is very simple. You go to resources, object repository manager, and with the help of this one you add objects. Okay, but here you have so many objects. Where is this object available in your application, you have to find out. How you can find out is like highlight in your application. Here you can go for highlight in your application. See, it's highlighted. Okay, see, this is the object where is in your application, you have to find out means you can go for highlight in your application. Okay, so but in your application some object is there in your object repository, where it's really located you have to find out. You click on that object. Okay, see, it's automatically enabled. So highlight locate in your repository, this object you click, which object you have to locate. Okay, okay, like that. So almost all features available whatever required for you. Okay, so this is how you will create your shared object repository. Once you create your shared object repository, you created successfully your shared object repository. Then what is your next step is, now if I go for object repository, local object repository, nothing is there. This is nothing but like your per action object repository. If you go for like resources, uh, you have to use that object repository in your test script. Means another feature you have to use, that is nothing but like associate repositories. Resources, associate repositories. Yard that repository. You have given main. So main TSR. Okay, you select, you write select. Okay. See all those objects whatever you have added got added. So once you associate, then another advantage is like browser, as soon as I give parenthesis base, okay, as soon as I give dot uh, web button, okay, before that web edit. Okay, for web button it's directly selecting sign in, but web edit why is giving, so there only one object for web button, that is the reason why you want to select, that is the reason QTP automatically taking. But here email and password you have more objects, so which object you have to select, so this is how you can select dot set which value you have to set. Once you get your shared object repository, this is how you can generate your script. Another way is just to drag and drop. Okay, just drag and drop. So this is another way of creating your test script once you come up with your shared object repository. Okay, so this is another thing you have to remember. So like this, so for entire application there is no need like create only one object repository. If you want 2 or 3 object repositories, very well you can create, absolutely no problem. Okay, so depends on requirement you can come up with not many, so 2 or 3 object repositories you can create, and which object repository for which script you require really, that one you will associate and you can use it. Okay, so uh, if you these days most of the people implementing directly like your shared object repository won't. Nobody is going for like local object repository, That's why it's very it's very important to remember to remember the concept like shared object repository. You have to modify. So what you have to do? You have to like 1,000 scripts you are inserted. Tomorrow one change request comes up, like instead of sign in button, they come up with OK button. What you have to do? You have to go to main object repository and you will update. It will get reflected to your 1,000 scripts. So that is the advantage of like your shared object repository. Okay. So as soon as I open, it will give you like read only mode. So it's disabled, right? So that means it's read only. So you cannot edit. So you want to edit means properties. Here one object you see, edit object repository, something enable editing. Means it will enable editing. If I click once again, it will disable editing. Okay. So that is the purpose of like enable editing. And remember another thing, one fresh guy join, he doesn't have any experience in automation and testing. Okay. So you are provided you are using shared object repository. While accessing shared object repository, he deleted some object. You are putting for native user means entire automation execution gets impact, cannot execute, right? So this kind of issues you may face if you grant permission to all of your team members. That is the reason, remember, important thing, when you are using your shared object repository, whole team members may not be granted the access. Only team lead will be having all the privileges. Like for your folder you can set up password, right? Exactly like that for test scripts also, privileges you can set up. Only for specific user you will be able to open specific test script. Okay. Even for object repository also, privileges you can set it up. Exactly like that. Why means this is the reason. So only team lead will be having all the privileges like edit, update, modify, delete, something like that. Like automation tester, you will be having only view privileges. Okay. So you will be adding that object repository, existing object repository, and you will be coming up with your test scripts. That is the way people try to follow. But you are automating specific test script. So you one object you will come up with like it was not there in your object repository. If that is the situation, what you do? But you don't have privileges to add, right? So if that is the situation, you will request your team lead who is having yard privileges. So, okay, to send out an email. So this is what object doesn't find. Please add on behalf. Like that, will send out an email. So he will add on behalf of you. Then immediately you'll start up with your automation. Okay. So these days mostly people going for like shared object repository. While you are implementing shared object repository, these are the different things you have to remember. Any questions? Okay. So while implementing shared object repository, two more concepts you'll come up with like object repository comparison to and object repository match to. These are the two things you'll come up with. So object repository comparison tool is nothing but like to compare two object repositories. You'll come up with like object repository comparison tool. In two objects, which are the object mismatching. All these objects is getting listings. So this is the purpose of like your object repository comparison tool. But sometimes you are implementing 20 object repositories. Why unnecessarily you have to go for like 20 object repositories? So at that point of time, what you can do is like you can merge two object repositories. So how you will merge is like object repository merge tool. Okay. So two object repositories you take, which object you have to merge. Two object repositories you take like this. Okay. So these are the different things you will get a chance to use in your real time with your object repository types. Okay. So sometimes you may get a chance to modify existing object properties. I already told how you will modify existing object types. You go object repository and you can change whatever the property. Direct property you go, regular expressions we were inserted, right? That is how you can edit whatever the object descriptions you wish. Okay. So this is one point you have to remember. So these days you will be using 100% shared object repository only. And while implementing shared object repository, what are the difficulties you will face? Only one person will be having will be edit at a time. One shared Excel file if you take, only one person will be able to edit. All other people cannot edit. Exactly like the shared object repository also work. By default, whenever you open any of the shared object repository, it's opening in read-only mode. Why? This is the reason. So if you want to edit, you will, if you have privileges, then only enable editing button will be enabled. Otherwise, it will be grayed. You don't have privileges for adding or modifying your object file means that button will be disabled. So you cannot edit. So at that time, what you have to do? You have to request adding that specific object to your team lead or who is having privileges, add privileges. So then he will add on behalf of you. So these are the different things you have to remember. An object repository merge tool and comparison tool in real time we may not use, but interview perspective they may ask you. Okay. So at the time you may say like I never come across like this kind of situation, but what is what I'm aware of, that is how you can handle. Okay. So that is nothing but like your object repository, merge tool and comparison tool. There are two object repositories you come up with: per action object repository and shared object repository. Okay. Another thing, if you remember, like during object, what do you say means like object identification mechanism. I could have told you like QTP doesn't have anything. It doesn't do anything. Only the thing is it will provide you UR. So you can control whole QTP features. Exactly like that. You have to identify QTP have to identify any of the object means. So it will look for some properties. So initially it will look for monetary properties. Monetary properties doesn't provide unique identification means it will go for assistive properties. What exactly the monetary properties and what exactly the assistive properties? If you go for any of the object, you will come across so many properties, right? It it doesn't mean like only these are the properties. QTP will consider it as a monetary properties. At these properties, it will look as a assistive properties. QTP don't consider like that. But you can instruct your QTP tool consider these two properties as mandatory properties and these properties as assistive properties. Like that, you can instruct your QTP tool. How you can instruct? So that is what tools, object identification. Here, uh, just a second. So resources, object repository. If I go for see in local object repository, it doesn't allow you to modify. Local object repository, so even enable editing button also won't be there. Why? This is shared object repository, right? So you cannot modify here. If you want to modify, you have to go to original object repository only, main object repository. There only if you modify, it will get reflected here. Okay, see here. So where is sign in? See what are the properties? These are descriptive properties means mandatory properties. What are the properties is looking? Type, name, HTML tag. If you go for like object identification, this is standard application. So web-based application, you will see web last you have. So button, web button, if we go, what are the mandatory properties you are mapped here? HTML tag, name and type. See, that is the one you are see. So what I'm doing now is for web button I'm adding inner HTML also. Okay, inner HTML also I have added. So okay. So now I add that object to object repository. Sign in. Okay, see existing object I'm not modifying, I'm adding. This is nothing but like your object repository. Sign to is taking, and which properties it was considered using inner HTML also, that property also it was added, right? Like that you can instruct your QTP tool like which properties QTP will consider it as like mandatory properties or assistive properties. See, if you go for local objects, it will display local object. Shared object means that is what. Which object repository you select, and those object repository it will get selected. Okay. So that is what, if you go for like object identification tools, object identification, you can configure which object qtp have to consider as a something like that. Okay. So web button, if I go, I'll make it as a default. Okay. So here see absolute x, absolute y, these are the different objects we are having. Okay. So in addition to that, you want to add few more, one more object, you can add by clicking new button. So these are nothing but like mandatory properties, exactly like that assistive properties you have to add. You add a few more. Okay. So which properties you have to add, even here also you want to add new property means you can add. Okay. So then ordinal identifier using index location. But why is you getting index location? Creation time also you should get, right? Creation time also you should get. Okay. So it depends on the object you are selecting. For standard objects you don't want, right? If it is web page or frame, then only you will get apply create time. Okay. So these are the different things you have to remember during your object repository. Any questions, anybody? No questions? Okay. So no questions means thanks much for your time. Okay, we'll end up our session tomorrow same time we'll meet by 7:30. Okay. Okay, that's my, yes, 7:30. Okay. Thanks much. Okay. Oh, is it? uh okay, you send it up once again. Sorry, I missed your resume somehow. That's the reason I was unable to check. Send it once again. I will check it up, Amir. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Any more questions? Okay, then that's fine. Okay. See you, friend.